Why hello there, and welcome back to Some Weirdo on the Internet Reviews Obscure Role-Playing Games. And in this episode, we are going to get dainty. Pretty Fairy Princesses was released in 2019 and is exactly what it sounds like, a game where you play as pretty fairy princesses. And why am I reviewing a game about pretty fairy princesses? Well, it's my show and nobody can stop me. So let's get into this and make us a character. Characters in Pretty Fairy Princesses are defined by three attributes: pretty, fairy, and princess, each of which has two associated skills. If nothing else, this game sticks to its theme. Each attribute is given a rating of 1, 2, or 3, with 3 being the best. So it seems like our character is very fey, moderately pretty, but perhaps a bit less refined than some of the other princesses. Each skill is assigned a class, which is what cards are required to succeed on a test with that skill. Luck/magic is a bit of a special case, as players must also select which of the two they want to have, and we are going to select magic. Then we pick an element, not like earth, wind, fire, and air, but things like unicorns, snowflakes, or rainbows. So let's pick beetles. That seems appropriate. And this character is done. So that was the character creation. It was simple, but not like overly simple. There are various things that you choose to customize your character, and I do have more thoughts on that, but I actually want to cover the mechanics before I give my thoughts on the character creation, because obviously how your character interacts with the game world somewhat influences my thoughts on character creation. Playing Pretty Fairy Princesses will require a couple things: a deck of cards and a wand. This is the closest thing I own to a wand. So, to the gameplay illustration. Each player is dealt 5 cards, which are then shuffled and placed face down in front of the player. So let's say we want to do something magical. We have a fairy score of 3 and a magic class of red, meaning that we can select up to 3 cards, and we succeed if one of the cards we get is red. We can select our cards from those in front of any player other than ourselves, or from the top of the deck, and we select them with our wand. So let's try this card over here. Nope. Okay, let's try the top of the deck. Also no. Well, we got one more, so let's go over here, and a 6 of diamonds, which is a success. And that was basically it. Once again, fairly simple, but more importantly, very different. And of course there's a bit more to it. There are no hit points or other health system, and instead you have encouragements and frustrations, which are basically positive and negative statuses that can afflict your character, with generally a positive or negative adjustment to your attributes or skill classes. So, for example, being dazed reduces all of your attributes to 1, and being love-struck changes the skill class of all of your skills to hearts. Also, there's a system of critical successes and failures, which is basically if you turn over an ace on your attempt, that attempt is critical. A critical success if the attempt is successful, and a critical failure if the overall attempt is a failure, which is a neat kind of way of doing it, having the ace be both a critical success and a critical failure. Which actually brings me back to character creation, because this game is actually a little bit more intricate than it seems on the surface. So when you're making your character, you have your attributes, which determine how many cards you can select during an attempt, and then you have your skill classes, which determine which cards will be a success on that attempt. And there are some decisions you can make there. Like, do you super stack your chances by putting your high probability skill classes in one of your high attributes? Or do you put them in your low attribute to compensate for it being a low attribute? Also, there are the critical successes and failures, like the letters class includes ace, so anytime you get an ace, it will always be a success. And also there is the Aces class, which has the lowest probability of success, but also any success is going to be a critical success. And where you put that on what skill in what attribute is a decision that you have to make that, can affect the outcome of the game. There is also a bit more strategy with the gameplay itself, because the players are actually allowed to discuss what cards they have, because you get the cards, you look at them, then shuffle them, put them back down, so you don't know what card is what, but you know what cards are there. So if you need a red card, someone can tell you, hey, I've got like 3 red cards here. So in that case, you would know that if you select cards from that player, you have a 60% probability of getting a red card versus the regular 50% probability. And that can put a little more strategy in your brain, because you have more insight into what the actual probabilities are of getting the cards you need versus just the abstract probability of drawing the specific cards from the deck. Also, just overall, I like the system. I like how it uses the unique properties of cards. Like, you couldn't play this game with dice. It has to be cards. I don't like games that just use cards in place of dice so that they can say they use cards instead of dice. It's kind of pointless. So the book itself is okay, fairly standard layout, but very deliberate layout, good page breaks throughout, and you all know how I feel about page breaks. And there's also quite a bit of whimsical stock art in there, and nothing wrong with stock art. I mean, where do you think most of the art in these videos comes from? And there we have it. Pretty Fairy Princesses, a cute little game about pretty fairy princesses. It is fairly simple on the surface and can be enjoyed at that level. If you really wanted to, you can put more strategy into it. Not a whole lot, pretty much as you would want if you were looking into a game called Pretty Fairy Princesses. Let's be honest here. If you're looking at a game like that, you're expecting something specific, and that is what this is. A good little cute game about pretty fairy princesses. Alright, thank you for watching. This video was something of an experiment, a bit shorter and simpler than my regular video reviews, and if this works out well, then I will be able to do more reviews of smaller, simpler games like this. So if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit that like button, because that tells me that this is a good video format and I should do more like it. Long as you're around, why not check out some of my other content and subscribe? That's a thing you could do. Well, until next time.